Most guys believe they lost her because of one sentence, a joke that landed wrong, a text that sounded needy, a moment where they didn't know what to say. But that's almost never where it actually happens. If a woman stops feeling drawn to you, it usually isn't because of one dramatic mistake. It's because of a pattern you didn't even realize you were building. A tiny decision that looked harmless. A quick sure when you should have slowed down. An explanation you gave even though nobody demanded it. And when enough of those moments stack up, attraction doesn't explode and disappear. Respect quietly drains out of the room. Not because you're a bad guy, not because she's a villain, but because the relationship starts teaching both of you one thing: who leads their own life and who adjusts. Today I'm breaking down 5 conversations that show up early sometimes in the first few weeks that basically decide your trajectory. They determine whether she experiences you as a man she can respect and relax around, or as a man she can push, shape, and gradually manage. These moments are easy to miss because they don't feel like tests, but they reveal something real: your stability under pressure. And by the time most men understand what went wrong, the dynamic is already set. They're reacting instead of choosing. They're negotiating instead of leading themselves. They're trying to fix it instead of being solid. Stay to the end, because the last conversation is where almost every man accidentally hands away his power without raising his voice, without cheating, without doing anything crazy, and it determines whether conflict gets handled like adults or slowly rots the relationship from the inside. This isn't about tricks. It's not about acting cold. It's not about playing games. It's not about trying to dominate anyone. It's about frame, and I'll define it clearly. Frame is the emotional and behavioral structure you bring into a relationship. Frame decides who stays calm when tension shows up, who over-explains, who bends too fast, who chases reassurance, who makes decisions from self-respect instead of fear. And here's the part most men miss: frame isn't something you do to her. It's something you hold inside yourself. It's not control over her. It's control over you. Let's get into the first conversation. Conversation. Number 1. The boundary talk. Plans, time, respect. This one appears earlier than you think, and it rarely sounds harsh. It comes wrapped in something casual. Can you come out tonight instead? Why don't you just stay over? You're busy a lot. Do you have to go? Can't you just skip that? Most men hear that and think, she wants more time with me. That's a good sign. Sometimes it is. But early on, this often isn't about time. It's about whether your life has structure and whether you'll abandon it the moment someone applies some pressure. Because attraction grows when she sees 3 things. You have a real life. You move with intention. You don't emotionally or practically rearrange yourself on command. Here's where men mess it up. She suggests a change. He immediately starts selling his compliance. Yeah, I was going to the gym, but I can skip it. I was supposed to see my friend, but it's not important. I don't really have plans anyway. I can just move things around. He thinks he's being sweet. What she often hears at a deeper level is, he doesn't protect his own priorities. He'll drop himself to keep me comfortable. And once you teach someone you drop your life easily, they stop valuing it. Not because women are evil, because human beings respect what has weight. If everything about you moves instantly, your yes stops meaning anything. The stable man response. The stable man doesn't defend his schedule like he's on trial. He also doesn't get rigid or rude. He's calm, direct, certain. Examples. Tonight doesn't work. Another day does. I'm locked in tonight. Let's do Thursday. I've got plans. We'll link later. This week is full. I can do Saturday. Notice what's missing. No long story. No apology performance. No please don't be mad energy. No desperate reassurance. And here's the part that matters most. If she reacts negatively to a calm boundary, that reaction is information. If you stay steady without getting cold or cruel, you pass a test that most men fail. You show that you don't trade your backbone for approval. That doesn't reduce attraction. It usually increases it because you feel like a man with direction, and direction is relaxing to be around. Quick reality. Check this is not about never being flexible. Healthy flexibility looks like, I want to see you. Let me check what I can move, and I'll tell you. That's different from, I'll drop my life instantly so you don't question me. The point is simple. You can be kind and still have standards. If you think that was small, wait until we get to the money moment. That's where men accidentally build resentment and lose respect at the same time. Conversation. Number 2, the exclusivity talk, without neediness. This conversation breaks more men than cheating ever could, because it triggers fear. She asks, "So what are we? Are you seeing other people? Where's this going? Are you serious about me?" A lot of men hear that and internally panic. If I don't lock this down right now, I'll lose her. So they lean forward emotionally, and they start negotiating their value. They overpromise. I only want you. I'm not talking to anyone else. I want something serious. I'll do whatever it takes. It sounds romantic, but here's the problem. You just turned commitment into a bid for approval. You made it feel like you're asking for permission to be chosen, and that shifts the power dynamic. Now she becomes the evaluator, and you become the applicant. Even if she likes you, something subtle changes. She can pull back and watch you chase. She can delay and see how much you'll tolerate. She can test harder because you signaled fear of the losing her. The grounded frame. A grounded man doesn't dodge the question. He also doesn't beg for the answer. He speaks from reality, not anxiety. Examples. I'm enjoying getting to know you. I'm not rushing, but I'm intentional. I'm open to exclusivity when it's mutual and makes sense. I like what we have. Let's let it grow naturally. I'm not forcing labels fast, but I'm not wasting time either. What does that communicate? Clarity. You know what you're doing. Patience. You don't panic. Self-respect. You don't sell yourself. And here's the irony most men learn too late. Men who don't rush commitment tend to get respected more, and often get pushed toward a commitment faster, because they feel like they're choosing, not pleading. Desire grows in space, consistency, and calm leadership, not in repeated reassurance speeches. One more layer, boundaries without games. A mature frame also includes honesty. If you do want exclusivity, you can say it without begging. I'm not interested in keeping options open. If we're continuing, I'd want it to be focused. If you're not there yet, that's okay, we can slow down. That's not pressure, that's standards. And standards are attractive when they're delivered calmly. See the pattern? You're not acting distant. You're not trying to be hard to get. You're simply not over-investing before trust and consistency are real. Now let's talk about the moment that trains expectations fast. Conversation. Number 3, the money request moment. This one almost never sounds dramatic. It's casual, playful, low pressure. Can you get this? I forgot my wallet. Can you help me with something quick? Could you cover it and I'll get you later? Can we stop here? I'm craving something. Men think this is about generosity, and generosity matters. But early on, this conversation is often about expectation formation. The first few times money comes up, you're setting a standard. Is this a partnership with mutual consideration, or is this a pattern where you pay to keep the vibe safe? Are you giving because you want to, or because you're afraid of being judged? Because the first time you say yes when you don't want to, you create a silent rule. And later, when you finally say no, it won't feel like no. It'll feel like you're breaking an unspoken contract. That's where resentment starts. And resentment is poison. The rule of clean. Giving. A stable man gives cleanly or not at all. Not from guilt, not from pressure, not to buy approval, not to avoid conflict. If you want to pay, it's simple. I got it. If you don't want to, it's also simple. Nah, not today. Let's split this. I'm not covering that. No speech, no moral lecture, no awkward justification, because the more you justify, the more it feels negotiable. Why this matters beyond money. This isn't really about the bill. It's about whether you can handle micro pressure without folding. If she gets upset because you calmly set a boundary around money, two things are possible. She's used to men buying access, so your boundary confuses her. She's not aligned with you long term. Either way, a calm no early saves you pain later. A healthy masculine standard. Paying sometimes can be generous, but paying out of fear builds an unhealthy dynamic. A good relationship feels balanced in spirit even if one person pays more at times. The question is, do you feel respected? Do you feel appreciated? Do you feel it's mutual? If not, your generosity isn't generosity. It's a transaction you didn't admit you were making. And the cost shows up later as bitterness. Now comes the test that confuses men the most, because it sounds like criticism, but it's usually a probe. conversation. Number 4. You're too quiet / too calm / too cold. She says something like, you're so quiet. You don't open up. I can't read you. You're kinda cold. You don't react. Most men panic right here. They assume she needs reassurance right now or I'm going to lose her, so they overcorrect. They start dumping emotions. They start explaining their personality. They start performing a warmth. They start proving they're safe. And often, attraction drops. Why? Because they surrendered their center to manage her discomfort. What this test often really means. Sometimes she genuinely wants more emotional intimacy. That's real. But early on, this is often her asking, can I make him shift with a label? Because labels are powerful. If she can call you cold and you scramble to disprove it, she learns, if I apply a little pressure, he will bend. A stable man doesn't argue with the label. He doesn't get defensive. He answers simply and stays grounded. Examples. I'm calm by nature. I don't react to everything. I open up over time. I'm not the dramatic type. And then this part matters. He stops talking. Not as punishment, as confidence. Because silence after a calm statement communicates, I'm comfortable being who I am. The difference between depth and oversharing. Depth is earned. Depth is built through shared experiences, consistency, and time. Oversharing is often anxiety in disguise. A lot of men mistake emotional flooding for intimacy. But real intimacy is honesty without desperation, vulnerability without collapse, openness without losing your spine. When you can stay steady while still being warm, you become rare. Not a statue, not a robot, a man with emotional regulation. And emotional regulation is one of the most attractive forms of strength. Everything so far prevents problems. This last conversation determines your future, because conflict is where respect either deepens or slowly dies. Conversation. Number 5. The conflict moment. How steady men end it fast. Arguments don't destroy relationships. Unmanaged arguments do. Here's the biggest mistake men make in conflict. They try to win emotionally. They talk too much. They defend every point. They explain their intentions. They rehash the timeline. They chase resolution in the heat. And the more they talk, the weaker they sound. Not because words are bad, but because frantic explanation signals one thing. I need you to approve my reality right now. That's not leadership. That's pleading for emotional permission. The steady conflict frame. A steady man does 3 things. He slows down, he stays grounded, he closes the loop. Examples. I hear you. Pause. I'm not doing this as a fight. Pause. We can talk when we're calm. Then stop. No spiraling, no chasing, no texting essays, no trying to fix her mood. Because here's the truth. A lot of conflict isn't about the topic. It's about emotional momentum. And momentum dies when it isn't fed. The secret most men don't understand. Sometimes a woman in a heated moment wants one of 2 things. Escalation, so she can discharge emotion, pursuit, so she can feel power and reassurance. If you give either one, the argument grows. A steady man doesn't punish. He doesn't withdraw love to manipulate. He simply refuses to participate in chaos. That's not avoidance. That's regulation. And it's a form of safety. What to say when it's serious. If she raises a real issue, you don't dismiss it. You just choose the right timing. Try this. I'm taking you seriously. I'm not discussing it like this. Let's talk tonight at 8 when we're both calmer. That statement does 4 things. Validates without surrendering sets. A boundary proposes a solution, keeps you in your center. And if she tries to drag you back into the fight, repeat yourself calmly. I'm not arguing. We'll talk later. Then you stop. Not to win. To protect respect. Because when you stay composed, you become the emotional anchor. And relationships need an anchor. Here's what most men never get told directly. Women don't fall for men who are flawless. They fall for men who are steady, not numb, not controlling, steady. And these 5 conversations, boundaries around time, exclusivity without neediness, money without guilt, emotional provocation without scrambling, conflict without spiraling. They all ask the same question. Does he stay himself when pressure hits? If the answer is yes, respect grows. If the answer is no, the relationship starts drifting into a dynamic where you're managed instead of valued. And once that dynamic sets in, desire usually fades not overnight, but quietly. The real point. This isn't about winning. This is about building a relationship where you can breathe, where your yes means something because you can also say no, where you don't have to perform to be loved, where your calm doesn't depend on her mood. That's what mature masculinity looks like. Self-respect, emotional control, clear standards, and warm presence, calm boundaries. If this hit, subscribe. Because calm isn't the same thing as cold. Calm is what happens when you stop abandoning yourself in moments that don't look dangerous until they are. And if you want the next video, I'll break down what people do when they realize you won't fold, and how to stay firm without becoming distant, harsh, or careless. Stay steady.